I'm going to sit up here because I have two metal knees, and when I sit in a low chair, like these are very low, I look like an old man when I try and stand up.
No worries.
Oh, how are you guys doing?
Awesome.
Woo!
I want an honest reaction. Are you tired? Has it been a long 2 days? Yeah. Here's no. I want more. Okay, so.
Okay, so first question is that we know you from over 300 movies,
Yeah.
but you
I'm
actually...
a bit of a whore.
But you actually didn't want to start as actor, right?
I was a writer. I had my first play produced when I was 15 years old. Precocious little prick that I was. And I wrote another one when I was 17. I realized that being a writer in theater and film and not knowing anything about acting, it's like writing music and not playing an instrument. Does that make sense, what I'm saying? So I wanted to experience that, so I took acting lessons, and now it's 56 years later. I write, I act, I produce, I direct. I'm a father, I garden, I golf. But my dad once said I ran away and joined the circus, and I kind of believe that. You know, it's I try and do it all. I don't know how to explain it. It's like a way of life. It's a way of thinking for me. It's not just a job. When I was on a film once, and my daughter, who's my oldest daughter, she's 50 now. She'd been on film sets since she was 7 years old with me. And I was doing an interview, and when I'm on set, this is going to get complicated. I'm a method actor, but not like you know method. Method is, I usually set my character before I go to work in the morning, and then I put like a raincoat over him, because like a lot of the characters I play are very, very bad men. And nobody wants to deal with this motherfucker walking around all day. So I put a raincoat over him. And my daughter used to call him Binky. Now, Binky's like a soother, you know, like baby sucks on a Binky. She called the character that I walk around in, this raincoat, she called him Binky. And then, because, you know, as soon as they say cut, I become Binky, you know, it's like, hey, how you doing? Binky knows fuck all, he doesn't know anything. It's the characters underneath, and it's not complicated, but it's the way I do things. So I was doing an interview on set, a press interview, and they were asking me a whole bunch of questions and stuff like that, and my daughter was the second AD on it. She was the second assistant director. She came over and said, excuse me, Mr. Ironside, you'll be needed on set in 5 minutes. And then she calmly went and stood over like that, and I went, oh, thank you. Thank you very much. And then they asked me a question, he said, if you weren't acting, what would you do? And I sat there and I went, no, this is not me, this is Binky. And Binky goes, oh, I don't know, maybe I could be a painter or a sculptor or something. And my daughter says, Mr. Ironside, we really should go to set now. And as I was leaving, she sat down and she said, let me answer that question for my father. She said, if he wasn't acting, let's put it this way, if a bomb dropped, the city was destroyed, and he wasn't killed, he would get out from underneath a piece of concrete, dust himself off, and walk towards the nearest camera. Because that's what he does. Now I have to take him to work. Bye. It's interesting when you get somebody you trust, somebody you love, give you define you, give you an impression or a definition of who you are. And wow, I thought, I guess that's true. Because I don't know what I'd do if I didn't do this. My dad once said I ran away and joined the circus, and I think that's absolutely true. You know, it's become what I am. Does any of this make sense? Yeah? Yeah?
But,
Raise your hand if it didn't make sense. Somebody didn't make sense?
you said yesterday that you started, your occupation in the beginning was a roofer.
No. I did a lot of jobs when I wasn't acting, but I was very fortunate. My best friend also married my sister, and his father had a small construction company. So we did, when I wasn't acting in the beginning, I did roofing, you know, like shingles and slate and hot tar, and we'd also build chimneys and stuff like that. I actually walked off 3 roofs. I was admiring my work. I was going, hey, that's pretty good. And I walked right off the edge of the roof. Boom. That was the first, I broke my left ankle that first time. So.
All right, but like it took a while before you got used to the fact that you're actually an actor, right?
Oh yeah, I know what you mean. Yeah, it's hard to explain. I think from where I come from, working class family, very well educated I am. My dad and my mother encouraged us to read at a very early age. But from where I come from, I always felt like someday they're going to find out who I am and send me home. You know, because I felt I shouldn't be here. You know, and we were on Total Recall, and I was doing a stunt and stuff like that. And Vic Armstrong, who was the stunt coordinator, was shooting the second unit stuff with me. He's actually the scene where I get my arms blown off and everything. And my leg hit. To get into that rig, you remember you've all seen Total Recall? Yeah. You know the elevator scene where the arms come off? That's a very complicated sequence. It was like on 2 stories up in another studio. We had to go up a 60-foot ladder to get into this rig where my hands are behind my back and there's false arms in a jacket. And then when it goes up, there's 6 squibs in each arm, little explosions that blow off the arms. And I go up behind a false wall and the arms come off and Arnold goes, see you at the party, or whatever, you know. And now what did he say? Yeah, is that what he said in that? Yeah. I've done a couple. But I stumbled going up the ladder. My leg gave up. And Vic afterwards, it's the second unit director, stunt coordinator, said, what was that look on your face on the ladder? I said, I came down, I was absolutely honest, and I said, Vic, I can't roof anymore. I can't be a roofer. He went, yes, right, Mike, right, yeah. He's very English. He says, let's have dinner tonight. And that night we had dinner at the hotel. It was in Mexico City. And when I came to dinner, he put down my resume. And I'd done about 115 films at that time. And he said, here you go. And I looked at it, oh, what's this all about? This is my resume. He said, when are you going to understand that this man is not a roofer? This man does not make his living roofing. And it was the first time, I wish I had that vocabulary to explain this. It sort of sunk in that I was no longer, I didn't have to worry about being caught and sent home. I deserved to be there. I trained hard for it. I trained 24 hours a week for 5 years as an actor in a workshop in the National Film Board in Canada. Had at that time co-written or rewritten almost 17 features, and I'd been in like 115 films, and I was still afraid that they were going to catch me and send me home. It's like the little boy, the little working class kid that doesn't believe he should be there, you know? Shouldn't be here. They're going to find out I'm a phony. And I've talked to other actors that have that same kind of syndrome, you know, that idea that this is make-believe. I can't speak for other actors, I can only speak for me. The suspension of reality becomes habitual. And it's kind of scary when you're working because it's not that you can't tell reality from the fiction, it's you enjoy it so much that you're afraid you're going to be punished, that you're going to be sent home. That's the only way I can explain it. And I realized on Total Recall that I was not going to be sent home. And I think my work changed after that. It sort of like another level, you know, something dropped in and became solid. So now it's 200 films later, so evidently they're not going to send me home.
I don't think so.
Look, when we get to the question period, if you have any personal questions, please come up to the mic and ask.
Absolutely, yeah.
You know, don't be shy or afraid, or I'm not going to fucking bite your head off. Or anything. You know.
Yeah, okay, so maybe before we get to the questions, I have just like a very quick quiz for you.
Okay.
Uh,
Quiz? Oh, quiz.
Quiz, yeah. So we have...
You're gonna ask me my weight?
No.
I'm very fat right now because I just got over 3.5 years of cancer, and the drugs they had me on, I didn't lose weight, I put on weight. It was called Rituxan, I put on 165 pounds. And because when I was doing it took my metabolic rate and flattened it. I did this yesterday. Who here has had cancer? Put up your hand. Who here knows somebody who's had cancer? Ah, see? It's important. It's real important. It's real important that when people got cancer and when you know somebody, let them know you love them. I don't know how to say it any different than that. It's having cancer, in my experience, is like being alone. It's like the disease tells you, be alone, be self-reliant, don't ask for help, don't join in. Just sort of like you got a tough life. And it's so hard to let go of that. You have to let people know when they're sick that you love them. My wife and my family really helped me. I've had cancer 3 times. But this last one, I don't know, I'm going to tell you a story. I went down to Sito Hospital for 2.5 years for the chemo, this Rituxan I was taking. And when I went in there, everyone looked like they were from Auschwitz. They were all very skinny and, you know, from their chemo. And my chemo, I looked like the Pillsbury Doughboy. I was like, you know, and I didn't feel like I fit in. And when I was there was about the 6 months, this very little woman came over to me. She was like 5'2" by 5'2". She came up to me, she was older than me. She said, excuse me. She said, are you taking Rituxan? And I said, yes, I'm doing it. She goes, oh, me too. I feel like I don't belong. And it was so cool, you know what I mean? It was sort of like, I went and got my schedule of treatments and hers put together so that when we did it, we went together. I don't know why I'm telling you this.
I just have one.
Cancer was a big deal for me. And anyone you know that's got cancer, just let them know you love them. Let them know they're not alone. It's real important. You know? And my wife has had breast cancer twice. And she's completely clean. I'm completely clean as of I think it's last October, November. And hopefully, wherever this would, you know, that I don't get to go through it again. But you know the one thing it taught me? I'm also sober. I've been sober like 41 years. And they talk about living life one day at a time. When you've got cancer or you've got an illness that is like that devastating, it really teaches you to enjoy one day at a time. Motherfuckers are never going to have this day again. Enjoy it. Don't be bored with it. This is a special gift. Every day is a gift. Now I'm tired. I'm lecturing you. I'm lecturing that podcast. Anyway, a quiz.
Okay, quiz and then questions. Okay, it's a short one, but your characters quite often lose different body parts. So I have a list of films here. I will read you the name of the film, and you tell me if you remember what kind of body part you lost there. So the first one is Space Hunter Adventures in the Forbidden Zone.
Oh, come on, that's overdog. He lost everything. I'm living in a vase. I was actually in prison. They let me out of prison to do that film. It's a long story, but I ended up punching a police officer, and I broke his jaw, and I got 5 years for it. And 6 months in, I owed so much money in taxes, the government let me out of prison to go do this film. My lawyer went and said, he owes all this money. He can't make any money in jail. If you let him go do this film, you'll get some of your money back. So they would let me out of jail to go do a film, then meet me at the plane and put me back in jail. And that was in Canada. Canada's a wonderful country. It's very, very utilitarian. And about 3 films in, I got a job in the United States. Because I had an assault on a police officer, I couldn't get the visa to go to the States. And the job, it's It's a film called Cross Country. If you've ever seen it, there's not one redeemable character in it. It's just everyone's bad, like bad people. My lawyer went to the judge and said, look, they're offering him all this money to go to the United States to shoot this film. But if he's got assault on a police officer, he can't get a visa to cross the border. And the judge said, how much does he owe the government? And they said, well, he owes like $370,000. And she said, well, how much did you make on the film? And she told him, and he says, by all means. He reduced it to a common assault so I could get my visa. So that's Canada. Canada's wonderful that way, you know? Why I punched the police officer was because he was about to hit my friend with a billy. My friend was drunk in front of a bar, and he was just making noise and being sloppy, and he spit on the police officer, and the police officer grabbed his belly and was about to hit him. And out of reflex, I hit the cop. And it was like, fuck, as soon as I did. My dumb friend ran down the street going, and I went to jail for 5 years. I ended up doing only 14 months of it. And they let me out on my own recognizance to make money so I could pay my taxes. Oh, Canada. I'm very much Canadian. So, all right, that was Overdog. That was the film I did. We had a daily review. It's okay. Is this what you guys want to hear?
Yes.
Is it all right? Okay. I don't know how to lie.
That's good. We like it here.
And it gets you in trouble sometimes.
Not here. All right, so the second one we talked about already, which was Total Recall. So
That's my arms.
yes.
Yeah.
Then Highlander 2.
Oh, I lost my head.
Yes.
You want to know the truth of that moment on the have you seen Highlander 2? You ever seen it? Chris got a little carried away. Now, we're doing a fight scene and I get hamstrung where I'm on my knees. Now, I can't move because the actor's on his knees, the character's on his knees. And Chris is right into it. He's got a real katana. He's got a real long sword. And he goes, ah. And I thought, motherfucker, he's not gonna pull up. And he swung, and instead of like, he was supposed to cut, and then they were gonna do a special effect with the stuntman, right? And as he did it, I went, son of a bitch, and I leaned back, I fell backwards on my knees, and his sword clipped both sides of my collar. It just missed my throat. He went, ah, like that, and then he went, ah. And I was like, oh fuck. He just got carried away. He got carried away. And that's the absolute truth. And it's not in the movie, because they basically it didn't look good on camera. They had to use the stuntman, and then they did it again, cutting the head off. Is this okay? You don't look like you're having very much fun. I love your haircut though. But, sorry about that.
Okay, so another one is Starship Troopers.
Starship. Oh, I lost my hand
Yes.
before the film opens.
Yes. And then.
Oh, and then I lost the whole bottom part of my body.
Yes.
You want to know about that scene? Have you seen Starship Trooper? Yeah. All right. We're shooting in South Dakota, and it was, when we started the film, it was like 5-6 months. When we started, it was like about 0 to 2 or 3 degrees in the morning Celsius, right? By the time we finished, it was 40, 41 degrees. Now we're in Velcro suits with rubber all over us and gloves and makeup and everything like that. Every day I take the suit off and you could pour the water out of it. Because it was made out of Kevlar. And that scene where I'm in the pit where the bug has chewed half my body off and I'm sitting there, do it, Rico, do it, all that fucking shit. That took 3 hours to shoot in the middle of the day. And I'm in a Velcro, it wasn't real sand, it was a plastic kind of crystal, I can't remember that they have a name for it, but that whole stuff that was in there was like being in a big concave lens. The sun was hitting it, and it hit me, and it was like, I'm in there, now I'm standing in the shit, right? Then you got the false legs out here, and then I went, we're doing the scene. I don't remember shooting the scene. I got sunstroke. Somewhere along the lines, I lost consciousness, but I kept on acting. I don't remember saying, do it, Rico, do it. What I do remember is that I pooed my pants. I had sunstroke so bad, I crapped my pants and urinated on myself while we're doing the scene. So the next time you watch Starship, do it, Rico! It's like, that poor bugger is sitting there with shit all over his ass. I've actually looked at that sequence, because I'm literally not conscious when I shot that. I spent a night and a half in the hospital. They took me to the hospital because of sunstroke, and pumped me full of IVs with water and stuff, and hosed me down, cleaned me off. And I've looked at that sequence, and it's interesting that I somehow showed up even when I wasn't conscious. You know what I mean? It was like, do it, Rico! Damn, what was going on? Because you stop it, and I don't recognize the facial expressions. It's not something I recognize. It's kind of a unique thing. So that's a little tidbit of information that will probably ruin the film for you now.
Okay, so second to last is the mechanist.
Oh, the machinist.
Oh, the machinist, okay.
Machinist, yeah. I lost my left arm on that one.
Yes.
That was a lot of fun. We shot that in Barcelona, in Spain, with Chris. I don't have a lot of memories from the film, except everything ran smoothly. You know, we literally were shooting in a machine shop that at 6 o'clock at night, the workers would leave and hang up their overalls. We would put on the overalls and go in and do the work, and work in the same shop. So we were working at night, and it was a real working machine shop. And tell you, sorry, you know, Chris in that film decided, when they wrote the script, it said the character was 120 pounds, right? Have you seen The Machinist? Who's seen The Machinist? If you haven't seen The Machinist, see it, because Christian Bale does something that, he's a very physical actor. He's always physically changing himself. And he lost a lot of weight for the film. He started eating less than 800 calories a day, protein and stuff, and drinking lots of fluids. And in the script, it was originally written by a writer who's only 5'6". So he wrote 120 pounds, and he thought that was pretty extreme. Chris decided to get down to 120 pounds, even though he's 6'2". So he turned into this skeleton of a man. And I came to work one day at the machinist shop where we were shooting. All the real workers were leaving. I walk in, and we had our little bungalows, these little two-wheeled gypsy trailers that we were changing in. And Chris says, "Hey, Mike, come here, I need your input." And I go around the corner, and he takes off his overalls, and he's so skinny. And he turns around and says, "My ass doesn't feel right." And he turns around, and he had lost so much weight, the ligaments and stuff that hold his buttocks had dropped. So his ass had dropped. And I'm already in character. And he says, "What's going on back there, Mike?" And I said, "Your ass has dropped." He says, "What?" I said, "You've lost so much fucking weight, you're now losing muscle tissue and ligatures." And this son of a bitch turned around and he went, "Cool." There's a scene with him when he's, I think, is it Diane Lane he's with? Is Diane in that film? I can't remember now. I've done so many films. But there's a scene in that where he made weight. He made 120 pounds. And it's in the film where he's in the bathroom, he's looking in the mirror. She says, "You're looking really, really skinny. What's going on?" And he went, "What, does it scare you?" And he goes, like that. He was so happy that he had made that weight, you know. We go out to dinner, and him and his wife and stuff, and he'd say to me, describe what food tastes like. So I'd sit there and use whatever vocabulary I could to describe how the white fish tasted in my mouth, or how the pasta was going down and stuff like this. He's a sick son of a bitch, you know what I mean? Really good. Wonderful actor though. But that's The Machinist. If you haven't seen The Machinist, see it. It's really interesting. It's about somebody who is being torn apart and ravaged by guilt and shame, and how he resolves it by coming in, embracing the truth about his life and his actions. It's quite a good film. It's quite a good film.
Okay, so the last one.
Yes.
It's Guy X.
Oh, Guy X. I lost half my body. That film, if you don't see it, it got, probably nobody here's seen Guy X, have you? Has anyone here seen Guy X? Guy X is actually about if you get a chance to see it, it's not the film we shot. During the Vietnam War, there was over 200 or 145 or 245 soldiers that they told the family they were dead, but because they couldn't identify them. And they were damaged beyond recognition, and a lot of them were in a coma. They didn't know what to do with them, and I'm going to get in trouble. I talked about this yesterday, and I thought, fuck, what are you doing? You shouldn't be talking about. Anyway, the US government didn't know what to do with them, so there was a NORAD station up in Greenland, and they took the patients, they took these poor suckers up there and put them in a field hospital in Greenland with a small detachment that was supposed to be there to watch for radar and watch for bombers and stuff like that, part of NORAD. And some of those guys started waking up, and they didn't know who they are and where they were. They'd been in a coma or in trauma for sometimes 18 years, 90 years, and they didn't know who they were until they came to. I play a character that comes to life and thinks he's still in just outside Saigon. And half his body's gone, his legs gone, his arms gone, all the side of his body's destroyed. It was really a wonderful script about the horrors of war and how people and their honor gets manipulated by politicians and stuff. And what happened was somewhere along the line, I'm guessing, because the film we shot is not the film that was edited, somewhere along the line to get a distribution package, they went in and re-edited the film, and a lot of the guts of the film were taken out of it. And so, if you watch it, it's kind of some fun performances, but it's not the film we shot. The film we shot was much more politically in your face, and they turned it into a farce. And so I think there was some pressure from somebody somewhere. But yes, he lost most of his body. It was an interesting acting exercise, though, to be able to have to work almost like a fetus, like a young baby, and trying to rediscover things and relearn things and everything. It was kind of interesting, the character. Most of the performances are there, but next question.
Yeah, that's it. That's
it.
it.
All right, let's have questions for the audience.
Yeah, sorry for waiting. Thank you for patience.
This is pretty esoteric stuff. Is this okay?
Yeah. It's interesting.
Okay.
So, Mr. Ironside.
No, that's my dad. I'm just Michael.
Okay, Michael.
Mr. Ironside
Did
is
you,
my
because you said you wrote a play when you were a teenager, did you envision, though, that you would go on to be playing such dark and menacing roles? And do you like playing those kind of roles? And second, what role was the most satisfying or fulfilling for you as an actor? Because even when you play a hero, like in V or in Starship Troopers, you're still kind of a really dark character. And, so I wondered if that's something you like bringing.
Do you know anything about acting in the circus? You don't get to cheer, well, I want to play that role. Not that one. I want to play that one over there. I want to get the girl, and I want to wear all the fancy clothes and drive the fancy car. No, that's not the way it is. You get the job that they offer you. When I was early enough in my career, I was offered what I refer to as dog eating parts. You know, you get to eat the dog. And Donald Pleasance, I mentioned this yesterday, Donald Pleasance, an English actor. You know who Donald Pleasance was?
Yeah.
All right, wonderful English actor. Everyone knows him from Scream, is it? Or
Halloween.
Halloween, yeah. He's probably got about 30 or 40 brilliant bloody English films behind him. But he said to me, he said, Michael, he says, and this is very early in my career, he says, if you kill a dog on camera and somebody makes money for it, that's all they want you to do is kill dogs for the rest of your career. Now the dog might become Damien Edith Evans, and the thing you kill it with might be a stock market, might be an educational thing, it might be, you know, a car. He says, but they're really, it says, it's a lot of money goes into films, and he says they don't want you to take risks. So they pay me lots of money to play these evil motherfuckers who go out and kill people. And then I go and play softer characters and grandfathers and priests and stuff in lower budget films. I am so grateful to have the career I've had and still have, based upon being a dog eater. You know, no matter how big the dog gets, even if it's Arnold Schwarzenegger, you know, who's a wonderful guy, by the way. So it's not like you get to choose. If you get too full of yourself in this industry, you don't work. You know, you really don't work. And what was the rest of that question?
Yes, what role for you was the most fulfilling for you as an actor?
I have no fucking idea. It's like they're like my children. I told somebody else that the other day. They're like children. You know, how do you pick your favorite kid? You know? How do you pick your favorite? My wife, thank God she's not. How do you pick the greatest time you had in bed with your wife? They're all great, but some of them are really good. But, do you know what I mean? The best film is the next one. I'm going to do a film, they're raising money for it. It's called No Country Without Horses. It's an Australian film, and they're having problems raising money for it because it deals with pedophilia and violence towards children and really important subject matter. And they're having a hard time raising $1.5 million to do this film, which is nothing. And I'm hoping to get it off the ground. It's a really important script. But that's the one I'm most excited about. That's the one I'm most proud of. Because it's a story that needs to be told. Does that make sense?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay.
Thanks, Michael.
All right, Sergeant.
Thank you.
Next.
On the big screen.
That you belong on big screen, like big movies.
On the silver screen. But I got introduced to you to video games, actually. To Sam Fisher and Command Conquer 3. So I wanted to ask you, how was it to play them, the roles, the voice actor and the live action for video games? How do you see them? And did you play with yourself as Sam Fisher?
I beg your pardon.
In a video game.
Oh. I hardly even know you. Look, when I was doing a mini-series in Montreal called The Last Chapter. It was about a motorcycle gang. Anyway, I won't get into that. And they offered me this video game. Now, I know nothing about video games. I talked about this yesterday. I thought it was like Pong, you know. This thing went back and forth. And I thought they wanted me to do a fucking narration on it. And I went, okay, sure. And they offered me more money than God to do it. And I went, they're out of their minds. So I go to the studio at Ubisoft. At that time was this little, they had a factory in the middle of Montreal, and they had rented a floor and a half in this building to do this game. There was 5 owners, they were broke, they had already had 2 games that didn't do well. And I went in and I met them and they said, no, it's not a narration. It's an action film about this assassin. No, fuck, I don't know. Can I think about it? You know, because it'd been about a week. They had to wait till I had a day off on this thing I was shooting, and they'd sent the offer and the check and all that. And I went, okay, let me think about it. I'll talk to you tomorrow. I went back and I called my wife and I said, look, this isn't like ping pong or anything. This is an actual thing where there's a story and character. She goes, you're gonna have to do it. And I said, why? She says, because I just bought a brand new Bronco truck with the money. She'd already cashed the check. And I went, right. So what I did is I went in and I said, your writing is horrible. The writing really was. They were techno-droids. They were very, guys with like the rubber and all the pens in it. Not to put anything down on geeks. Geeks are important. Geeks are cool. But these guys knew nothing about writing. And they'd written this story about a guy that said stuff like, God damn it, I'm gonna kill you. And I went, this is not organically correct. You got a guy that's playing. Anyway, so I'll tell you what I'll do for nothing. They gave me the script, and in video games, 90% of it's action, 80 to 90%, the other 10 or 20% is acting. So they let me have the script and I rewrote it. And I, again, made him organically more correct, made Sam somebody who, they told me what the storyline if the game went 3 or 4 games. We didn't expect it to go 7, but they, 3 games, and I said, oh, this is the arc. I said, well, how about if he loses his wife and child? Then it creates a character that I'm familiar with. Somebody who can't give affection, somebody who can't accept affection. And maybe he loses allegiance with the government and trust them. They said, okay, so I rewrote the character. Then they let me cast all the other actors I'd be working with. So I brought actors in and stuff, and we spent 2 days getting to know each other. Because when you're doing voice acting, you sit in, it's like a telephone booth. You're all by yourself, and it's kind of like masturbation, It's not really like making love. It's better when you have more than one person. So we got to spend some time with the script for 2 days, and then we started recording. It worked pretty well, I think, because by the time we did the second game, they had bought that building they had a 4.5 in, they bought the whole building. They made so much money. And after the second game, they bought the building next to it. And after the third game, they bought a building in Toronto and another one in San Francisco. And by the time we got around to the live action, nobody wants, at that time, a 67-year-old man, playing Sam Fisher. You need somebody younger and more, and even with the motion capture, you go in and basically put on a wetsuit that's got all these marks on it, a little camera on your face. It's ridiculous. It's absolutely absurd. The actors who do that, I'm amazed at. But I tried to do it, and I said, this is not going to work. Let's find somebody else. And we did. We found another actor to take over the 6th game. In my opinion, he dropped the ball very badly. I don't think he knew that I picked him. God bless you. I knew his mother. I mean, not. Hi, how you doing? Not like, hey. I knew his mother early. I knew him when he was a child. I'd actually held him in my arms when he was a baby on a show we'd done. So I recommended him to play Sam. And so when they did a big thing, Ubisoft wanted to do a big deal of me handing over the character to this young actor. So I won't say his name. But I went in and he did not know that I had picked him and that and I thought, nobody wants to know that. They don't want pressure on them, So I went in and I mentioned it to him and he went, I said, look, let me give you some pointers on how to play Sam. And he said, I'll do it my way. I said, no, let me there's some things you're going to run into. He said, don't tell me what to do. Okay, all right. And I think he fucked up. I think he didn't understand. I think basically, and if he hears this, God love you, wherever you are, I don't mean to take your inventory, but decisions when you're frightened as an actor, it's not good. The decisions you make just create more fear and more problems. Are there any actors here?
No, he's the official Latin.
They're too embarrassed to say it, aren't they? But then you know that if you make decisions based on fear, it just creates more problems. You got to do it out of confidence, out of love, and out of an enthusiasm.
Italy,
Create
right?
something.
Yes.
And he dropped the ball horribly. To the point where Netflix has bought it, and right now they're in South Africa shooting the limited series with an actor that's really, really good, Sam Fisher. you know. And they actually asked me, somebody actually said, well, would you be in the live action series? And I said, the first time I opened my mouth, everyone that's ever seen Sam Fisher, close to what? I think it's close to 13 million copies of the first 3 games. I don't know after that. I said, they're gonna know I'm Sam. No, I'm not gonna do that. But it's a good, look, Sam was a great character to play, you know? You know what's great about, how many people here played Splinter Cell? You know what's good about that game? It was the first game where players could talk to each other and they could text each other while they're playing. So there was like, I talked about this yesterday, there was one time a character came up to me and said, I was playing this, and I was playing with a guy that was in Bangladesh and another guy that was in Johannesburg, South Africa, another guy that's in Bangladesh, you know, in India and Pakistan. And I asked them, I said, was there a riot in the push-out and stuff like that? He says, oh, no, only 35 people couldn't get their food stamps, so they put them in a bus and moved them to the other side of town to get their food and stuff like that. The news media had made it, there was a riot in Bangladesh because there was no food stamps, and it wasn't true. And here, it was one of the first times, before texting became really big, was that the game was that these guys are playing the game and talking to each other all over the world, you know? I thought that was kind of cool. Anyway, that's a long answer. I could have said yes.
My question is about a movie, I think it was an early one for you, 1982. It was called Visiting Hours.
I had already done 32 films.
32, damn, okay. Nice. But you played this very psychotic guy in
I
that.
played a very sick, very sick,
I saw
cold hawker.
Yeah. I saw that movie as a teenager. It scared me to death. But
Should have tried playing him.
So my question was, what kind of research did you do for the role?
Sit your ass down, because I'll tell you about it.
Okay.
When that script was sent to me, who here has seen Visiting Hours? Motherfuckers, get out and rent that film. He's one of the scariest characters I've ever played. It's a misogynistic, sociopathic, crazy guy, and who's damaged by his parents before he's old enough and stuff like that. We shot it right after Scanners, same company. And to do the research on it, there's a place in Toronto called the Clark Institute of Psychiatry. And I went in and they allowed me to sit in on psych sessions with these very, very sociopathic, psychopathic, sick guys that were sexually messed up. And they didn't know that I was one of them. And so I got to listen and watch people and talk to them. Like there was one guy who was in there, his mother poured boiling hot water on his genitalia when he was a kid because she found him playing with his penis. There was another guy where his father had cut off the end of his penis when he found out that he was masturbating. So there was all this really disgusting stuff. So when I created Cold Hawker, I created not somebody who's bad, I created somebody who's damaged. I created somebody who'd never been shown love. I created somebody who's missing stuff. And he's a scary son of a bitch. Because when somebody doesn't have the experience of love, or safety, or compassion, it makes them a very, very, very scary and very dangerous person. And there's one scene in that film where I'm in the laundry room of the hospital, and he's having a breakdown. He basically has an exception with his female reporter, goes after her, she ends up in the hospital, he tries to get at her. Tries to get in as a patient, tries to get in as a doctor, tries to get in an ambulance driver. And there's one scene where he almost gets her and he ends up in the basement of the hospital crying. And I was against the wall and I didn't expect the camera to come in on me because they started rolling it towards me. And while I'm there, I ended up trying to get away from the camera against the wall. And I was against a down pipe, like a drain pipe. When the scene was over, I couldn't get my head out. I had stuck my head behind the drain pipe. They had to get a car jack and jack the pipe out so I could get my head out. I felt not, look, when I play twisted, bad, ugly, dark characters, I feel a responsibility to make them organically correct. so that nobody wants to emulate those people. And I basically only accept characters that are twisted like that they end up getting punished or die because of their behavior. Their ends, their behavior brings about their end. So does that answer your question? About Cole Hawkins?
Zdravím a poprosím o překlad.
I will translate, don't worry. Some story from shooting the TV show V.
Does anyone remember the TV program Ironside with Raymond Burr? Did you ever get that? No? He was a lawyer who was in a wheelchair, a real fat fuck in a wheelchair, right? Raymond Burr's a really ugly guy. So when they sent me V to do it, the character was in a wheelchair. I hope I didn't offend you. The character was in a wheelchair. And I said, I can't do this player. I don't want to play this guy. Because my name's Ironside and I don't want to end up in a wheelchair because the audience will they'll just lose their minds. It doesn't make any sense. So the producer said, take the writer. And the writer was the writer from Visiting Hours that had happened 2 years before. So him and I went off, they gave us a week to go off and restructure the character. And we created Ham Tyler. And Ham Tyler was, again, a lot like somebody who couldn't give affection and somebody who couldn't accept affection. When I did Splinter Cell, when I played Sam, he was basically Ham Tyler from V. Very, very dark character who lost his wife and his family. The great thing about it is the guy I met on that film the very first day, who played Chris Farber, my buddy, that was Mickey Jones. He was the first drummer in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. He became my best friend. He was my best man at my wedding when I married my wife the next year. He passed away about a year and a half ago from complications from diabetes, finally caught up to him and stuff. But that's the greatest gift I got from V, was Mickey Jones being my friend. And I had a huge crush on Faye Grant. You remember Faye Grant, the little blonde? Oh, I'd go to work and my body would just go, like this. She broke up with her fiance at one point and I went, ah. I was not dating anybody. I had just gotten sober. About 9 months before that. So it was like this wide open sore, this huge open wound in my heart. And whose car is that? I have ADHD. I've been wanting to, I keep looking over going, there's a car in the room. But yeah, the gifts of V was Mickey Jones playing my partner, and being able to make enough money, because that was my first job in sobriety, where I paid off all those taxes that I owed in Canada. And I was a free man. They weren't going to put me in jail after that. That's what I remember from V.
Your previous role in Starship Troopers and your experience with voice acting for video games, I would like to ask if you know about the new video game Helldivers 2, which is heavily inspired.
People keep asking me about this fucking game. I know nothing about it.
It's heavily inspired by Starship Troopers.
Yeah, I heard that. I know nothing about it. I see nothing. I know nothing.
And my other part of the question would be if you would be interested in being part of the game, for example, in some.
Well, I'd like to see the script and see what the game is. I'm at a place in my life. Look, I'm 74 years old, right? I'll be lucky if I do this for another. I don't plan on going anywhere for the next decade, but an 80-year-old actor is really, really a rough thing to be. Look, I can't even stand up long enough to do things. That's why I gotta sit down. I have 2 metal knees. I have 6 spacers in my back. I have 4 pins in one shoulder, 2 in the other. I broke both ankles. I busted my hands 3 times. I'm a mess, and by the time I'm 80, I'm going to be lucky to be standing somewhere. So no, it would depend on the script. What I'm trying to tell you is, when I do work now, I'm fortunate enough to choose what I want to do. I get offered about 3 or 4 films a week, and most of them are dog-eating parts where they want me to beat up some child or throw some woman out a window. And and most of them are not very well written. But like I said, this one, No Country Without Horses, No Country for Horses in Australia. That's something I'm looking forward to. But yeah, I don't choose jobs based on the money anymore. I never did. Look at already creative people. You guys are here. There's a little child that lives inside all of us. I don't mean to get all psyched out here, but there's a little kid inside me, and he gets bored real fucking quick. You know, if I do a job where I'm not involved, where I'm not emotionally and mentally committed to it, 2 days in, the little kid goes, I want to go home. And the money doesn't do a thing. The situation doesn't do a thing. It's got to keep you engaged. And to me, it's got to be organically correct. And those jobs are hard to come by. They really are. I took, out of the 370 films I've done, I took 2 for the money, and on one of them I was honestly suicidal. I thought, what the fuck am I doing with my life? And the little kid inside me was just desperate. You know, it was just desperate. I was lucky to get out of that film alive. I won't tell you which one it was. But every day, it was a lot of money, helped a lot of people. I helped pay off a whole bunch of family debts for my sisters and brothers and stuff. But I hated going to work every day. I just hated it. And the little kid in front of you know what I'm talking about? Do you understand what I'm saying? Do people understand what I'm saying? Yeah. If you're not doing something you care about, especially in the arts, if you're not doing something you care about, it can destroy your soul. It just, you know, it's like being, I don't want to take it too far. It was just, I choose not to do that anymore. I did it twice, it didn't work, you know. Thanks for the question, Joe.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Big short answers. Quick, next question.
Hi, I would like to ask if you have a line that was said to you or you said to somebody in your movie that really stuck with you.
No.
Okay, well.
Hold on a second, hold on. Connected with acting. I'll tell you a moment that's connected to acting that I don't know if I said this yesterday. When I was very young, early in my career, my oldest daughter was only about 6 years old. I was living in a duplex with my sister and my brother-in-law. I lived downstairs and I lived upstairs. And I was doing roofing on the side that you got covered in tar. And I came home and I was taking my boots off at the doorstep before I went up to our duplex upstairs. And my daughter was in the living room with her cousin and a kid across the street. And the kid across the street was saying, my dad makes carpeting. And I looked in, and he was down on his knees showing the other 2 kids how his dad laid carpet. Broadway. And I went, oh. And my nephew said, my dad is a roofer. He goes up on ladders and he hammers and stuff. I went, oh. Then they said, what does your dad do? And my daughter said, he wears makeup and other people's clothing. And I was going to correct her. I went, no, and my sister, I didn't see my sister, she was sitting on the stairs behind me, letting the children have their own reality. And I went, my sister went, no, don't say a thing. Because it was true. I wear makeup and other people's clothing for a living. That's what I remember, things like that. You know, how are you, baby?
Thank you.
Oh, that was amazing. That was really great one.
He obviously likes you from Starship Troopers, but also he wanted to ask you about your role in Stargate, where you were playing a character who was pretending he's an anti-hero, but he's an actually hero. Am I saying it right, guys? No, the other way. Sorry.
What I remember of Stargate was that it was shot in Vancouver, and one of the producers was a friend of mine, and I didn't want to do it. And he said, well, come on up, it's fun anyway. I said, I don't want to fucking do it. You know, it's like 3 days, and the character I've done before, I don't really want to go down that road again. And he said, I'll get you one to sing. There's 2 private golf courses up there. And he had membership, but he says, if you come up, I'll get you on to so-and-so and so-and-so. I said, I'll be on the next plane. So I flew up very quickly to do it. And I don't know really how to answer that question. You know what I mean? It's a character I've visited before. Somebody who's damaged by being at war. You know, and I feel like I have a responsibility. I get a lot of those characters. That people go off and they sit on their humanity so they can defend the doors, so they give us the freedom to have voting, and they destroy their lives and they come back and everyone looks the other way when they walk down the street. I feel like I have a responsibility to play those characters correctly. So, anyway, thanks for the question.
Thank you.
I think you're the last question. But who?
Spaceship Troopers.
Jesus, okay.
Yeah, it's
I've made 369 of them.
Yeah, it's a little, I think about the compare Revolt because main character changed body for Revolt at the ending of the scanners. And also at the Total Recall, also Arnold Schwarzenegger, something like a change body. And sir, what do you think about that? Life inside the body? A different person.
So you want me to solve the fucking riddle for you? You saw the goddamn movie, make up your own mind. No, look, I read the book. The book is really important, something I have to look at. Starship and in Total Recall. I think that duality is what Paul, as a director, Paul Verhoeven likes to play with. It makes that there's no such thing as a good person or a bad person in those situations. It's, he tries to make people uncomfortable, I think. I can't speak for Paul, and Paul, if you hear this, I apologize, I don't mean to speak for you. But I think he likes to watch people be uncomfortable and have to make decisions for themselves. And in that short story that became Total Recall, you know, Cyborg's Dream of Electric Sheep, I think was the original short story it's based on. I think that duality of is he in the real world or is he in a make-believe world is something we have to deal with, all of us, on a daily basis, especially with, we spend most of our day with our faces stuck in our cell phone, looking down. Do you know what I'm saying? It's like there's a loss of reality that we're going through, and Paul saw it very early. That's my opinion. And Paul, if that's not what you were doing, I'm sorry. Okay? Does that answer your question?
Yes.
So you have to make up your own mind. Really? All right? Okay.
Thank you so much.
I think that's it.
Yeah.
Sorry I didn't get to your question. All right?
So we really have to go.
You guys are wonderful. Thank you.
All right. Michael,